What is it that Morgan, why does he lose his imagination?
Well, Morgan Freeman plays a character who's basically given up on life. I mean, he had a life where he was going to be a baseball pitcher. On his way to the major leagues, he gets into a car accident, and even though his wife doesn't leave him, she stays with him. He becomes a writer, and then when we pick him up at the beginning of this movie, his wife has passed away, and he's in a wheelchair. He's started drinking, and he's given up on writing. He's given up on life. And so he's shut the door on everything. And it's not until he moves into this lakeside community and next door to this woman who's got these 3 great daughters that throughout the summer he forges a relationship with them and learns to live again. So it's really about, how life really is something that's so precious that you have to celebrate regardless of what your situation is. You have to find a way to embrace it. And so he's able to do that. But at the beginning of the movie, he's like in the worst possible place.
I think that's a wonderful message. Well, what exactly inspires him about the family? What do you think it is?
Well, they all bring out something different in him. With Virginia Madsen's character, Mrs. O'Neill, he, in his mind, has thought, I'll never love again. Nobody will ever love me again, because his wife, who has passed away, met him before he was in the wheelchair. So he believes that nobody's ever going to want me, and I will never be loved. And so that's one of the things that she brings out in him. All of a sudden, they have forged this relationship, and it's not sexual or anything. There's an undercurrent of romance. It's kind of an unusual romance. It might lead to something we don't know what it might lead to after the movie's over. So that's what she brings out. But then there's a little 9-year-old girl, Finnegan O'Neill, who's her daughter, who's interested in where do stories come from? What is imagination? So she's prodding him all the time because she knows he's a former author, even though he's given up on writing. And because she's asking him to tell her where the stories come from, it starts to inspire him to want to write again. And this little girl who's 6 years old, next door also, Flora, she's interested in stories about elephants. So as he gets closer to this family, he all of a sudden gets inspired to write again.
And at the same time, Willow kind of bonds with her mother, which I think is very sweet.
Well, all the characters are going through some difficulty in their lives at that point. Since the mother is going through a divorce, the Willow, who's 15 years old, and she's a teenage girl, she's stuck on this island. Her husband, her father lives in Manhattan. That's where all her friends are. She wants to go there. She blames the mother for the divorce, and it's not until she finds out that her mother went through something similar that she starts to feel good about how she feels about her mother, and they're brought closer together.
It's very sweet when they're brought together and the bond is built, and everyone's kind of bonding.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. It's about characters that are basically put in a really tough situation that have to, work through it and find each other. We call it the magic of BELLE because there's a speech in the early part of the film where there's a eulogy, and he gives this speech about how there's something about this place that brings out the best in people. We don't know what it is. And it's the interaction of all the characters on BELLE that makes him come to life and embrace life again.
Now, how was it working with everyone?
Well, Freeman, to me, is the greatest actor. I mean, I've been very lucky that I worked with the 2 best American screen actors, Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. If I could make every film with Morgan Freeman, I would do it. I love him. I think he's brilliant in this film. I think if you look at his great performances, Shawshank, Driving Miss Daisy, and I think this is as good as anything he's done.
It's wonderful. It's very sweet. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
There's a huge talk about divorce in this film. It's a big pinpoint. How did you go about doing that?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that tears your life apart. And this woman, she basically feels like I'm never going to love again. I'm not, my love life is over, and I'm just going to, focus on my kids. I've got my kids around me, and she's put all her energies into that. And it's not until she comes in contact with this unlikely source of romance that it becomes something that she says, wait, maybe there's this other part of me that I should not, shut down any.